When you're at the grocery store, just stop and take a breath for a minute. You might not need to buy something just because it's there or just because it's on sale. Balancing a well-stocked pantry can mean the difference between managing the food that you're going to cook or just storing frozen money. And there are at least 5 benefits of having a good pantry plan, and I'm going to show them to you today on the Carefree Cooks Code. I'm Chef Todd Moore, and this is the Carefree Cooks Code, every Tuesday live at noon Eastern. Here's our challenge. How can home cooks cook freely with creativity, confidence, and pride while ignoring recipes and still impressing themselves and others with what they cook? Well, the answer is found in becoming empowered with how cooking works, using dependable and repeatable methods of cooking that work for any ingredient, for any diet, and any desire, just like chefs do. And we'll know we've cracked it when everyone sees cooking as an exciting and rewarding way to improve their relationships, their lifestyles, and their health through better food and cooking. This is the Carefree Cooks Code. Hey, welcome back to the Carefree Cooks Code, everyone. This is the free public weekly show for the methods, techniques, and insights into better food and cooking. We're live every Tuesday at noon right here on my Chef Todd Moore page on Facebook. It's a free class open to the public, so you can share it with as many people as you'd like. And if you want to get an email reminder of when I'm going live, you can sign up at webcookingclasses.com/live. And if you want to see what I'm cooking when we're not together on Tuesdays, follow Chef Todd Moore on Instagram as well. Black bean soup. Pureed black bean soup. Saute onion, garlic, and red peppers. Then what did I do? Deglaze with some beef broth or vegetable broth. Add a whole bunch of beans and cilantro. And then I puree it because I had dental work later this week. I am on a liquid soft diet now. Oh my goodness. As an aside, this class is long enough, but I'm executive chef, certified culinary educator, culinary college professor. It's hard for me to come up with things to eat on a puree or liquid diet, but I do it. Why? How? Well, I'm a carefree cook. I create my own recipes. I don't buy Campbell's soups, I make them. I bring friends and family together. I learn every time I cook. I create my own cooking style because all I'm doing is practicing pro methods, and I wind up loving my cooking. So if you ever had the idea that things were limitless, let's say you thought everything was limitless. The types, the quantity of food that you can buy, the amount of money that you have to spend on food, limitless. The space that you have to store your food, a gigantic warehouse, limitless. But probably not. Most people don't have limitless stuff like that. Maybe one of the 3 is limitless for you. Maybe you have a pantry that looks like a little mini Costco. But I'm sure we can agree that money is not a limitless commodity for any of us. So we're going to put some common sense and some pro-level skills on managing your pantry today because it can be an expensive mistake. But first, I've got a true or false for you today. It says here, this statement, tell me in the comments section below, is this statement true or false? Balsamic vinegar and an Italian bubbly wine use the same grape. True or false below. Okay, it's Tuesday, maybe my favorite day of the week. We're back together again, each of us working on our own individual carefree cooking journeys. It's why I wear the shirt today. I'm reminded that it's always a journey. Even me, I learn stuff all the time. I never think that I know it all because one of the greatest benefits of being a carefree cook is that you can cook for any diet or any desire using the same repeatable and dependable methods of cooking that chefs are taught in culinary school. That's my gig. Okay, right? You know that mantra. And that means that you can just reach into your pantry, grab a whole bunch of ingredients, and then be confident in how you're going to cook them and wind up making something great, even if you don't know what you're making when you start cooking. That happens to me all the time. I was like, hey, what do you know? Enchiladas. I wasn't starting out that way, right? But that's how you cook from your pantry. And it's a very hot topic right now. I'm glad, once again, everybody is catching up to us. I've been teaching this since 2008. I started teaching pantry management in my cooking school actually in 2006 before I got online in 2008. And I've taught this class on a college level as well. The truth that comes out of all these classes that I've taught is that if you want to cook from your pantry, you need to understand what's in your pantry, how you manage the space and the money there while still having everything you need to cook with. So the idea is not to have a mini grocery store in your house, every possibility. A pantry is the ingredients that you keep on hand because you're planning to cook something with it, not just store it. And there is a skill in balancing a well-stocked pantry, having the items that you need on hand so you can whip up meals quickly, versus creating a mausoleum of food. Stacks of cans that will never see the light of day. And today's topic is one I am asked about all the time. I get Facebook and email messages all the time like this: Chef Todd, what type of pantry items should I keep on hand at all times? Hey, Chef Todd, what are the best ingredients to have in my kitchen? Chef Todd, what's in your autocorrect. Please, I would have thought less of you if I thought you were asking that question. Please proofread your questions before you send them to me. You don't want to know what's in my pantry is what we're talking about today, because I've thought a lot about this topic and I've had a lot of trouble sometimes trying to put it straight in my mind. I don't want to sit here and read you a list of food items to have in your kitchen. That's dumb and boring. Ultimately, you got to decide what to keep in your pantry. Now you got me doing it. Autocorrect, okay? Read your message before you send it to me. I don't know what flavor combinations you like. I don't know your ethnic or regional influences. I don't know what you like to eat. These things are entirely up to you. I don't keep sardines in my pantry. I'm not a seal. You may love them. I'm not calling you a seal. I just don't like pantries. I, on the other hand, have 4 kinds of mustard in my fridge. That could be 3 too many for you. So I could give you some generalities today, things that most people keep on hand, but ultimately it's up to you to make the changes that you want, because reading a long list of ingredients, it might be educational. If you were sitting in my 4-hour lecture class in culinary school, you'd have to sit there. But it was probably pretty boring. And since I'm always trying to bring you the secrets that I taught in culinary school, the techniques that professionals use so you can steal them and put them in your own home, this is what I used to say to the students, and you can do this at home. I want you to think of your pantry as a food vault, okay? It's important. It keeps valuable things under lock and key. And that's the way I thought about it when I was ordering food for a large hospital, which I've done. I used to buy about $1 million of food per month as executive chef of a large hospital. That's a lot of food to keep track of. We had a really large pantry, a huge room. We unloaded the truck with forklifts to put the stuff on the shelves. We even had a pantry steward, a guy who got full-time pay to fulfill requisitions for the food and keep the inventory. Little power base on this guy, by the way. He was such a pain in the butt. I mean, I was exec chef. I was buying all the food, right? But he controlled and distributed it. And I used to say he was like the troll under the bridge. You know, my line cooks would ask me for food and I'd tell him, go ask the troll. And he was behind this little half door, this Dutch door. So they'd go over to the pantry entrance and they would say, hey, Joe, can I get a case of canned tomatoes? Ah, Joe would say, you must answer a riddle first. What? what has wings but does not fly, what lays but never down, and is afraid of everything. Joe, we're going to play this game again? You ask me this every time I come here. It's a chicken. It's always a chicken. Now give me my damn tomatoes, will ya? Guy, I mean, he had such a little power base of controlling everything. That's not really even the guy. It's just I found him on Google. But look, that's the first point I want to make. In your home, you are the pantry steward. Guard it like a troll. And you're the chef too. You requisition things from your cabinet and you use them in your cooking, right? Think about that. But do you keep track like the pantry steward does? Do you know how much of something that you use over a certain period of time? Do you know how often you purchase something? Do you know the value of all the items in your kitchen cabinets right now? Think about that. How much is that stuff you have in your kitchen worth? Now, these are the questions that I would have to answer every week as executive chef of a large hospital. If I kept too much food on hand, my food cost would rise. If I kept too little food on hand, I might run out of something, or at least I won't have options. And it's in this balance between usable inventory and unused inventory that means the difference really between profit and loss in a commercial establishment. And that's why I want to share the professional pantry secrets with you today. Some of them might seem a bit much for your home kitchen. I understand that, but maybe you'll get an idea. But look, you can choose to take these ideas. You can really start to control your food and your money by employing some of these professional level skills today. Or not. You'll see. Pick and choose. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the benefits of good pantry management. First of all, you got to have things on hand, right? If you want to cook by method, the flavors that you like to apply to your creations need to be there. No matter how you choose to cook with them, you need to have something to cook with, okay? The simplest. The second benefit is reducing your trips to the market. Don't have a huge pantry and still go grocery shopping every week. You lower your food bill by making less trips to the store. Or if the market is far from you, save time, save gas by not driving back and forth for everything that you forgot or filling a requirement of a recipe. With a well-managed pantry, you narrow the scope of the items that you store. So that thoughtful pantry building means that you don't have unused things that take up space. You only keep those things that you're going to use in the immediate future. One great benefit of pantry, and on the professional level, this is you get fired or not. Kind of important. You have to know the value of all the food items that you have on hand, or you have a locker of food, not a pantry. You can't manage a food budget in the millions of dollars, or just for your family, hundreds of dollars, thousands perhaps. All that stuff sitting in your cabinets, if you're not turning it into food, if you're not making meals from it, it's a food savings account, and that's not what it's supposed to be about. Another benefit is that you create a shopping list, a cycle. You know how often you use each item. You know your purchase frequency, so you're not surprised by it. And here's one more thing I got to add because of recent events. You also need an acceptable substitutions list. Okay, or just the idea that you might have to choose something else when your pantry item isn't available. And I just had this text conversation not an hour ago as Jennifer, my shopper at the local grocery store, texting me about things that were out. If you purchase groceries online, you're going to have to put in an acceptable substitution. But good for us. That's one of the powers of being a carefree cook. I don't need that specific thing. And I told Jennifer today, it's how this show kind of came about. I was exec chef at a large hospital. I'm not worried about mispicks and substitutions. You got to roll with it, right? The only way that you would be inflexible on a mispick or a substitution if you're cooking by a recipe. And recipes don't tell us what to do. So you can always find a substitute if the store is out. Have that as part of your pantry plan. So these 5 benefits of managing your food vault, we can call it, can make your cooking so much easier, quicker, give you more variety, more inspirations, more creativity, but most importantly, save you money as well. Okay, so how, Chef Todd? How do we do this? How to choose your pantry items. Again, not a list of all food that exists, but in the commercial kitchen, the pantry is built from the recipes. So again, as exec chef, the recipes are derived from the menu. So I write the menu, I break it down into the recipes that need to be done, standardized for a hospital. I'm not a freewheeling, carefree cook when people's health is in my hands, right? Standardized health recipes from the dietitian. I break them down into the ingredients, and this creates the inventory that I do or don't need. And since I always knew my hospital cycle menu weeks in advance, I would just go down each standard recipe's ingredients, make the shopping list. That becomes the pantry list. But in your home kitchen, you're probably not writing a cycle menu for the next 5 weeks based on standardized recipes where you have 60 cooks and chefs to duplicate your specifications and the demand of a nutritionist too. Oh, I hated them. Nutritionist and chef, always tough to get along. But look, you are a carefree cook and you cook by method. So you figure out what you've got on hand, then you go cook it in a dependable, reliable, repeatable way. And this actually makes creating your pantry that much harder for you. It's harder as a home cook to do these pantry things I'm going to show you that is as a professional. So how can you know what ingredients you're going to need 3 days from now, 7 days, 2 weeks from now if you're cooking by inspiration? You don't know, but you guess. You got to make a good guess. You got to have a basic repertoire of foods that you cook again and again. You know it. We all do it. You don't think you have a cycle menu, but you do. You go back to the same go-tos. So no matter the size of the variety of foods that you cook, you always come back to your favorites. It's a food cycle. Okay? Everybody has a food cycle. And when you're aware of your food cycle, then you can start ordering like an executive chef. You keep an eye on your budget without running out of anything. You're not looking for a cycle of the same exact dishes. That's not what I'm telling you. But the fact that maybe you'll make rice a bunch of different ways, all kinds of methods for rice. Have rice in your pantry. You might like to use beans more than someone else. Have beans in your pantry. I don't know what I'm going to make from the beans, but I got beans. You might do more stir fries than your neighbor. And then there are certain items that you're going to use multiple times in your cooking cycle between market trips. And if you're really trying to avoid exposure at the market or being at that cash register again, knowing how often you buy things is a fantastic way to do that. You spread out your shopping trips with pantry management skills. So this is how you build your own personal inventory for the pantry items that you need, giving consideration, to the days in between or new food deliveries or shopping trips, right? At the hospital, when I worked at the National Security Agency, where again I was cooking for thousands, I had a clipboard of some 50 or 60 pages, the inventory, 60 pages. And every Friday I'd have to take inventory. I would have to count each and every item. How many of this do I have on hand? How many of that? How many will I use until the next order, until I get more? And from that comes the food order for the week. So it's a simple formula of your PAR number. We talked about this in the grocery, what kind of grocery shopper are you episode 2-3 weeks ago. Your PAR number, the amount that you always want to have on hand, minus the inventory, the things that you do have on hand, plus any usage until the order arrives. It might be a day or two later. You're going grocery shopping tomorrow. This creates the shopping list. All right, so it's this formula right here at the bottom. Dum, 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 dum. Don't have to do that at home, but whether you've got a few bags in the trunk of your car or you got a 40-foot semi-trailer that delivers 12 pallets to your food production kitchen, no matter how big or small the operation, all these inventories are broken down into categories. So if you're not already taking notes, you might want to write these down or come back, watch this video in a replay. So let me give you the categories that you should be breaking your food down into. The first are dry goods. And these are the shelf-stable items. Rice, dried beans, grains, cereals, dried fruits, nuts, pasta, lentils, all your dried herbs and spices. This is anything from the bake shop: flour, sugar, baking soda, cornstarch, cocoa, dry yeast, powdered milk. These things in your pantry are great because they don't go bad unless they get wet. So keep them dry. So these are the stuff that you can stock up on. You're going to use them all the time. Second is canned goods. Self-explanatory. Things that come in a can or a jar. Canned vegetables, canned fruits, soups, canned meats, tuna, canned or carton broths, juices. Again, long shelf life. You can stock up on them. Fats, oils, flavorings. These are all your oils, your honey, vinegars, syrups, condiments, jellies, sauces, things like that. Now, these can go bad a little bit more quickly than dry goods and canned goods, so you might want to keep less of these on hand so they don't spoil. Then you get into refrigerated items. Refrigerated items, your fresh produce, fresh fruits and vegetables, eggs, dairy, fresh meats, butter, things like that. These are the most perishable, and if your electricity goes out, these are the things that spoil. So refrigerated items should be the lowest inventory and turned over most quickly. And I'm going to explain turnover in just a few minutes. Frozen items, meats, proteins, breads, bread dough, frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, anything like that. They also have a long shelf life, but they do deteriorate in the freezer. And again, if somehow you lose your electricity, they're all shot, right? So from these 5 categories, you can start to build your pantry list now. Go through your kitchen, write down every single thing that you see in your cabinets, your refrigerator, your refreezer. You got time to do this, right? Assign each thing that you have to that category, and you've got the start of your pantry list. Then review the list and eliminate anything has been there for a long time, right? Eliminate anything that you're not using, anything that you haven't used in a long time, anything that is suspect. Then add the items that you'd like to include in your pantry in the future. This is your pantry list. It's the items that you're currently cooking with, the ones that you will be using in the future. You can review this every month if you want, every few months, every year, and eliminate the unused items and add new ones. It's a continual process. And I did this weekly, again, for millions of dollars worth of food. And certainly you can do it once or twice a year and keep your pantry lean and mean. Because everybody goes through food trends in their cooking, right? You just figured out how to make the best beef stroganoff and you find yourself making it 2 or 3 times a month. Well, now your pantry should have some beef, some egg noodles, some sour cream, mushrooms for when the inspiration comes. And then, you get burned out on beef stroganoff. You discover something new. You start cooking Thai food, right? So scratch off the sour cream, replace it with coconut milk. Add sriracha sauce, add peanut butter for satay until you get sick of that. And then there's no need to keep egg noodles for months if you're not using them up. If you're not going through egg noodles anymore, take it off your pantry list, because here is the big idea that I teach in culinary school. All right? And in culinary school, like I said, this class is called Purchasing, Food Costing, and Inventory Management. Good one. I'll say it again. Purchasing, Food Costing, and Inventory Management. I've taught the class 20 times, 25 times. It's a 50-hour class. 50 hours on the pantry. Because the main idea in managing a restaurant or a food establishment is this one thought that I drill into my students' head. And it's this. This is the mantra for this class. In the back door, through the kitchen, out the front door as quickly as possible. And what this means is that anything I purchase better get cooked, better get turned into money or nourishment as fast as possible, or I won't then have the money to buy more food with. In the back door, into the chef's hands, through the cash register is probably a better way to say it. Because if I buy food, I put it on a shelf and I don't cook with it, it costs me money. Next week, I buy more food. I put it on the shelf without turning it into a meal, without selling it. And if I do this week after week, I've got a huge pantry and 0 sales to show for it. And I'm probably out of a job. because I'd be a horrible executive chef if I did that. I did a consulting job many years ago, and I think it was a college, and they were having trouble with their food cost. I don't have to tell you the whole story, but I opened their freezer. There must have been $100,000 worth of food in their freezer. Every bit of this and that they didn't cook, there's your food cost right there. And I would challenge you in your home, what's in your freezer? How much money is that? Are you doing this? Do you have a huge pantry and very few meals to show for it? Because good pantry management doesn't mean being a hoarder. It doesn't mean storing every possible food item in case you might need it. Because those are the things you never need. Those are the things that the recipe commanded you to buy 2 years ago, and you haven't used it since. A good pantry has the items that you consistently use, that you will use in the future, or you want to use first. It is not a museum of food or a list of things that were on sale. And I mentioned something earlier. There's a number that executive chefs are judged by, and it's called inventory turns. And briefly, because I don't have 50 hours today, turns is a number derived by dividing the value of your inventory by the sales dollars for the same period. Value of inventory divided by sales. The idea is you want to turn your inventory over as quickly as possible. And a turn number that's higher means you're turning the food into money or nourishment quickly. A lower inventory turn means you're storing too much food. You're not selling or serving enough of it. And this concept can be applied to your own kitchen in a very advanced way that you may or may not want to put into use. So consider this. You might want to keep the ideas in your head and be aware of these concepts as you get ready to shop. So my suggestion for you is make a little spreadsheet. If you're watching me today, you're probably a little computer savvy. Create a spreadsheet of all the pantry items and their costs. Add the pantry items to the sheet, then transfer the cost of each item from your register receipt after you go shopping. Start to build this list. Then when you multiply the number of items that you have by the cost, you get a total value of that item in your pantry. So a jar of tomato sauce is $2.79 means you got $2.79 worth of tomato sauce in your pantry. If you got half a jar, put 0.5 and you got about $1.39 worth of tomato sauce. And if you do this for each and every item, you will know how much money is tied up in your pantry and your shopping will become a lot more efficient. It is a cold realization. So go ahead. Add up the value of everything that you have in your pantry, and you're going to be shocked at the frozen money that you have right now. So again, it's not about being a hoarder. Your food vault should have the dry goods, the canned goods, the fats, oils, flavorings, refrigerated, frozen items that you're going to use in your cooking between now and when you'll be shopping again. Remember, in the back door, through the kitchen, out the front door as quickly as possible. Or in home cook sense, from the market onto the plate and in the stomach as fast as possible. That's the idea. So before we all head back to our kitchens and start scrutinizing our pantries, realize how fortunate you are for the food that you do have stored away for tomorrow. So there are a lot of people that don't know where tomorrow's food is coming from. Having a large pantry is a gigantic luxury. So maybe you should take some of that food and donate it to a food pantry somewhere. That stuff that's been sitting there that you're not going to cook with, give it to someone who could use it. Let's go back to the true or false today. It's a kinda. This one's a kinda true or false. Balsamic vinegar and Italian bubbly wine use the same grape. True or false? Kinda true. Balsamic vinegar uses a Lambrusco grape, and there is an Italian bubbly wine called Lambrusco, but if you start Googling it to prove me wrong, Lambrusco wine doesn't always use a Lambrusco grape, so go figure. So everybody's right today, all right? Both true and false, 10,000 extra points for everyone. Hey, look, if you know someone with way too much frozen money in their pantry, please share this video with them. Give it some hearts or thumbs up or something. Let Facebook know that you like it too. And you know, the best way to start any journey is with a roadmap. You need to know where to turn, which path to take, and what to avoid. And for your carefree cooking journey, I've created a roadmap. It's called The 5 Forks to Carefree Cooking, and you can download your copy immediately for free. Just go to 5forksguide.com and you'll know the path to take for true freedom in the kitchen. Until next Tuesday, everyone, where we take even more steps toward breaking that carefree cook's code, this is Chef Todd Moore reminding you that there's a method to your pantry cooking success.